Nothing Sacred by George Walker, adapted from Fathers and Sons by the wonderful Lev Turgenev. Fathers and Sons has been included on the list which you can find at the Guardian website, the best 100 novels, fiction of all time. And it is an amazing, sensational book. Obviously these will be just a few minutes, some impressions about it, and about the adaptation which I just finished today. First of all, a few words about Lev Turgenev, who is, from my point of view, benefiting from much less publicity and public awareness than the likes of Tolstoy, Dostoevsky, and other Russian and international famous writers. Not only that, but after reading another extraordinary book by Paul Johnson, this time, The Intellectuals, I found out about the lives of some of the greatest writers, authors in the world, and alas, there is disappointment there. It is best not to know many details, perhaps no details at all, about some of those wonderful minds, who were nevertheless capable of some grotesque actions. Tolstoy, for instance, would not recognize his illegitimate offspring, as opposed to Turgenev, who did. So basically, let's just limit to this. It seems that Turgenev was not only a wonderful writer, but also a great man, as opposed to Tolstoy, who, at least from one point in his life, became really strange and did some, I would say, terrible things. Coming back to Fathers and Sons, it is actually a clash between the old and the new. The new is represented by Bazarov here, whom I would say is the main central character, even if actually he looks for a lot of the action of the story like a negative, evil man. From one point on, he becomes much more complex. I will not go into details which might spoil for anyone who listens to this an eventual read of the novel. I would just say that his destiny, in a way, fulfills his nihilistic attitude, because that's what he is. He is a mentor for Arkady, a nice man, a good man, as the other personages say. And unfortunately, he is a nihilist. At one point, when he's asked by the old guard, let's say, what is he planning to do apart from destruction, he says, no, this is it. We will demolish, destroy everything that is old, and let other generations build the new construction. That sounds crazy, but then I must say also this, I identify much more with the uncle, with Nikolai, the father, in this story, even if we're talking fathers, not just one. Maybe because I belong to that generation. I don't know. It does sound silly and crazy for new generations to come up with something new just for the sake of it, and even if it doesn't mean anything, like I'm thinking this new fad now with wearing pants, jeans and whatever, which are already torn. It's not even new. It happened 20 years ago when, speaking of how we evolve or how we regress, 20 years ago I was wearing jeans which had been already torn, because that was a new fad then. It's a new fashion, new old fashion now. In the case of Bazarov, it is much more serious in many ways, because this nihilism brings about not just destruction of the old order that could be very good in places, societies like Russia near the middle of the 19th century, when they were moving towards more rights for peasants, but still the story begins with a beating, because there were two classes, and this story is also a clash about classes, between classes, the higher classes and the lower classes, with very little in the middle. And servants could be abused, which, as I said, happened from the very start. Bazarov intervenes, and there he shows that good side of him, the good about changing a society. There is also a story, a love story, between Nikolai, the father of Arkady, and one of his servants with whom he has a son. But then the difference between their status makes it very difficult, if not impossible, seems like, at stages, for the two to get together. Here I don't know what to say. In fact, this is a good story because it makes you think, lives in a quandary. Is it good to have the new just for the new, but also on the other hand to keep to the old, even if in one case it involves a duel? And a representative of the old order, a conservative, proves to be not only old-fashioned but dated, and he insists up to the end. Somebody dies. I will not say who. Somebody dies, and indeed that makes me change sides past midway into the story, because the favorites from the beginning turn out to do bad deeds towards the end. Anyway, it is a great story, as I said, included by some scholars and critics among the very best, 100 ever written, and it's worth reading about. I hope you do read it. Sayonara.